Travel the World presents 12 beautiful fairy tale castles in Europe. Worked by lords and sovereigns to secure and govern their domains, palaces had not exclusively to be capable to withstand assault yet to project their influence and riches. All things considered, tough keeps and forcing dividers were raised close by magnificent castles, full of resplendent and elaborate chambers and royal chambers. These palaces were frequently worked at key and dynamite settings at the mouths of valleys, at the passage to mountain passes, or on sparkling lakeshores. Include the heaviness of history, and these astounding constructions set among amazing view make for the absolute most excellent palaces in Europe. Number 12. Tromsø Island Castle. As the name shows, this eminent palace is set upon a little island with the shimmering waters of Lake Galve encompassing it. Found right outside of Vilnius, the overwhelming red block fortress was once the very pinnacle of key significance to the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. First raised in the 14th century, the palace and its great ducal royal residence were re-established to their unique look and style during the 1960s. The Gothic and Romanesque highlights of the island palace look especially capturing when seen from across the gleaming waters of the lake. Number 11. Corvin Castle. Inherent to glorious Gothic Renaissance style, Corvin Castle in Transylvania is one of the biggest palaces in the entire of Europe. Set on a ridge sitting above a stream, the 15th century fort gladly flaunts a number of grandiose pinnacles, just as secure dividers and a solid drawbridge. Various fantasies and legends whirl around the Romanian palace. Its alluring and fairy tale-esque look has seen it included in various network shows, furthermore, films. Number 10. Conwy Castle. Situated in the north of Wales, Conwy Castle was assembled right back in 1283 by Edward I of England, who was endeavouring to vanquish his raucous neighbours. Set at an essential spot on the banks of the River Conwy, the overwhelming palace played an urgent part in numerous fights and battles for quite a long time to come. Highlighting 2 cumbersome barbicans as well as 8 enormous and invulnerable pinnacles, the palace is broadly viewed as perhaps the best illustration of military engineering in Europe. Number 9. Swallow's Nest. The wonderfully named Swallow's Nest can be discovered roosted drastically on the edge of a clifftop in the Crimean Peninsula. Ignoring the shining waters of the Black Sea, the gently enriched palace was assembled in 1911 after extremely heartfelt neo-Gothic plans. Having highlighted in various movies and Soviet occasions, the Swallow's Nest is currently a well-known spot to visit among travelers, who come to gaze at its unstable setting, refined engineering, and the staggering perspectives. Number 8. Cockham Castle. Set in a picturesque spot neglecting the town of Cockham, the palace of a similar name is encircled by moving green slopes, with lavish backwoods and grape plantations surrounding it. While a palace has remained on a similar ridge since basically the year 1130, the first was obliterated by the ravaging soldiers of Louis IV in 1688. Re-established and modified in a ravishing Gothic revival style, the current palace is presently a famous vacation spot in the German Rhineland. While Cockham Castle is entrancing to investigate, the perspectives from its turrets and pinnacles of the valley and waterway underneath are comparably enchanting. Number 7. Spiš Castle. Situated in the Upper East of Slovakia, Spiš Castle has overwhelmed its environmental factors ever since it was worked in 1241. Because of its social and political significance to the Kingdom of Hungary, the palace kept filling in size until it turned into the tremendous fort it is today. Flaunting amazing and forcing stone dividers and pinnacles, just as an awesome Romanesque royal residence, Spiš Castle currently fills in as an instructive historical centre. With instructing seas out over the slopes and valleys to be delighted in from its escarpments, this grand stronghold isn't to be passed up when in Slovakia. Number 6. Hohenzollern Castle. Regardless of whether saw arising out of the treetops which encompass it or from in the midst of the mists which twirl around its dividers, Hohenzollern Castle consistently makes for an epic sight. Roosted on a noticeable mound, the palace and Gothic Revival royal residence display some lovely engineering, and the corridors and chambers inside are comparably wonderfully enriched. While the current palace was just finished in 1867, a fort has remained upon something similar mount since essentially the 11th century. Quite possibly the most visited palaces in the entire of Germany, Hohenzollern is as yet possessed by the imperial place of a similar name. Number 5. Alcazar of Segovia. Formed a lot of like the bow of a boat, the Alcazar of Segovia has since a long time ago pulled in tourists because of its particular plan and amazing setting. To be sure, the palace's sublime keep and thin pinnacles look especially running, considering they are roosted on a rough outcrop ignoring the conjunction of two streams. Situated in the focal point of Spain, its very much safeguarded castle is loaded with rich rooms and corridors that are shrouded in craftsmanship and fine decorations. Presently a mainstream gallery, the Alcazar of Segovia additionally has an exceptional arsenal and assortment of weapons for guests to examine. Number 4. Bran Castle. Ordinarily referred to outside of Romania as Dracula's Castle, Bran Castle surely looks like it. The disallowing post-falsehoods covered up in a timberland in Transylvania. Regardless of its spooky appearance, nonetheless, the palace just has shaky connections, best-case scenario, with the merciless and uncouth 15th century rule of Vlad the Impaler, who propelled Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. Shrewd showcasing ploy to the side, Bran Castle is unquestionably worth visiting for its stunning design and delightful setting in a rich valley. Furthermore, guests would now be able to appreciate investigating the palace's numerous rooms, which house the broad workmanship and furniture assortment of Queen Marie. Number 3. Pina Castle. Surely the most brilliant and most brazenly planned palace on this rundown, Pina Castle truly is really remarkable. Flooded with shading, the distinctive yellows and reds of its dividers sparkle forward from its noticeable ridge setting in the Sintra Mountains right outside of Lisbon. Finished in 1854 in a romanticist style, its innovative plan is a delight to look at. Also, the perspectives from its bulwarks and gardens aren't bad at all things considered. Taking in the entirety of its awesome highlights and colorful and extreme engineering styles is certain to be one of the features of any excursion to Portugal. Number 2. Eilean Donan. Situated at where three lochs meet, Eilean Donan in Scotland is really honoured with regards to its marvellous setting. While the first palace is thought to have been based on the little island at some point in the 13th century, the current romanticised and rethought resurrection just dates to the 20th century. Despite the fact that its disintegrating dim dividers and unexceptional highlights may not look very as amazing as numerous different palaces, it is its beautiful environmental factors that truly put it aside. Having highlighted in incalculable movies and TV programs throughout the long term, Eilean Donan is unquestionably perhaps the most acclaimed and unmistakable palaces in the entire of Europe. Number 1. Neuschwanstein Castle. Roosted on a forested mount with the lofty Bavarian Alps behind it, Neuschwanstein Castle looks as though it has quite recently risen up out of a book of youngsters' fantasies. Just finished in 1886, the palace's awesome plan draws from both sentimentalism design. Furthermore, Ludwig II's affection and appreciation for the shows of Richard Wagner. Fittingly, the visually appealing castle, with its excellent pinnacles and brilliant passage, really filled in as the motivation for the Sleeping Beauty Palace in Disneyland. Loaded with mind-boggling fine arts and valuable artistic creations, the inside of the palace is no less extraordinary.